All right, and here we are. It is gone past 6:30, and it is time for Business Express right here on Smooth Breakfast. I'm Sope Martins, and joining me for the next 15 minutes, I've got Rotus. Good morning. How you doing?
Fine, thank you, Sope. Good morning to you. Good morning to all our listeners out there. Good to be with you guys again.
All right, now we've got a lot that is coming your way because we're going to be talking about how we're dealing with terrorism using tech. We're going to be talking about what we can do on our railways. A lot of all that coming up, and of course, I just need to tell you how you can join the conversation. So you can catch the live stream. We are up on youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos, and you can leave a comment up on that live stream. You can also send your WhatsApp messages in to 0809-440-981. All right, Rotus, let's get stuck in.
Yeah, so I mean, we're still dealing with the fallout of the tragic terrorist incidents that happened at the Abuja Kaduna rail on Monday. I think so far the death toll is either between 7 or 9 people. They're still going through the passenger manifest, and the Abuja Kaduna highway, very dangerous, lots of kidnapping that takes place there. It's pushed a lot of people to rail, but now even the rail isn't safe. So President Buhari is calling for, as I understand, is calling for a speedy conclusion to the installation of surveillance surveillance equipment along the Abuja Kaduna highway, railway, excuse me. And I think Rotimi Amechi called for this if about a year or two ago. So he called for this a while back. I asked the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, but it hasn't been concluded. So now, with this attack taking place, the president apparently, after meeting with service chiefs, Lucky Rabo, Chief of Defense, and a number of other people, he's calling for that to be speedily concluded. And if you think about what technology can provide for surveillance, El Rufai, the governor, has repeatedly called for drones to be used to survey parts of the states. Excuse me.
All right.
Also called for drones to be used over the borders where rice and other things are being smuggled. So, look, CCTV was employed during the panel investigation of the shootout at the Lekki Toll and SARS. It's got to be more widespread because, see the Kaduna airports, that attack that happened last week. They said 200 terrorists were attacked there. We still don't know what number it was. So CCTV and using technology, it's a no-brainer, right? It's supposed to be able to sort these things out so you can get a handle of when these attacks occur, how many people are involved, and also identification, because unless they're wearing masks or something, these individuals should be able to be identified. What is the impact on business?
Because, by the way, can I also say, with remembering the bus attack on the bus attack in which a lady lost her life, and there was the issue of the BRT and CCTV on that as well.
Yeah.
So that is part of the conversation that we need to have about how people can feel secure when they are using public transport.
Yeah, the problem is that these items get vandalized and stolen. There's just an issue. So even the surveillance equipment has to be
secured.
Yeah, which is
because then we have CCTVs on Lagos roads at some point. What happened to those?
Yeah, so apparently, some of them are solar powered because there's the issue of lights. So the cost of keeping them up with electricity was a problem. They considered using solar power. Some of them are getting stolen and removed. So there's just that issue of, having to employ more resources in terms of manpower to survey the equipment that is also surveying human beings. It's just, it's a rough situation. But the Railway Corporation has now suspended movement along that route, that's Abuja Kaduna. So you can imagine what that does as far as revenues are concerned for coming in. That's impacted. If you look, apparently, according to the passengers that were on board, there were business people on board, people who were, doctors, engineers, and so on and so forth, who were heading for one program or another. That's been disrupted. And then again, remember, we have governors who are presently in Dubai seeking investments coming into Nigeria. So, things like this are going to impact whether or not they come back with any money at all. On the aviation side, Asman Air, whose flight was delayed as a result of that attack on the Kaduna airport. Well, they're saying it was a village near the airport, but either way, their flight was delayed by 44 minutes on Saturday. I think it was on Saturday. They've said they've suspended all services.
Halted operations.
Yeah. They've halted it. Same thing with Air Peace. So you can see an impact on rail. You can see an impact on aviation. I haven't traveled by roads. I can't remember last time I traveled anywhere by road. So there's, you look at these, and the Bureau of Statistics releases year-on-year price increases or price movements for transportation, for road, rail, water, airfare, and so on and so forth. This is just going to keep people at home in terms of that particular route. That's going to impact whatever, activities, business activities, deals that need to be struck on that route. The fallout is there. I mean,
because I think about it, people in that state right now have said, okay, so the expressway, the highway is not something that anybody wants to take. We've got suspension of services at the airports. We now have suspension of services on the rails. How are they supposed to move by ship? I'm confused now.
Well, at this point, we'll use what we're using now. It's what's going to happen. So what is going to happen is that people will just use it's virtual meetings. But I'm talking about I'm being selfish here because this is a business program. So only looking at for meetings and deals that need to be struck and presentations that need to be made. For business, it's all virtual now. I think we will see an uptick if insecurity continues to hamper road travel and rail and air travel. Then it's going to be virtual. Kaduna has CAD Invest. CAD Invest has been going on now for 4 or 5 years. El Rufai has been holding an annual forum. I think it still took place earlier this year. But going forward, I don't know how many investors. So what it is Kaduna hosts an investment forum. They try to bring business into Kaduna and so on and so forth. And it's an enterprising state. There's a lot of things going on.
But so, Rotus, that's what I want to ask you, because as we're talking about this, when we talk about the cost of terrorism, business terms, investment terms as well, in a state where, like you said, they've got a pretty proactive governor. But how exactly is the insecurity of the transportation networks going to affect business and investment opportunities for there?
Yeah. So I mean, it's horrible. So you won't see CAD Invest unless things get better. That was impacted last. I think it was COVID that impacted it, and then there was also the issue of terrorism. But a forum like that is going to deter investment from going into Kaduna. El Rufai is under the cosh right now. I mean, I don't know. Look, some people will say these things are politically motivated. As you notice, we're getting closer to elections now. You're starting to see more and more of these attacks. It happened during the last administration where some people were saying these things were being pushed. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's happening, and it is having a really, really bad impact. There was when now we're going to farming. There was an aqua agric trade fair that was just flagged off either yesterday or the day before. Vice President Sibanjo was represented by the advisor for the Livestock Transformation Initiative. I think it's Nigeria Livestock or Nigeria Transformation Livestock Initiative, NLT something. And representing the vice president, he said that we're losing about $14 billion, not naira, dollars a year to herdsmen in agric output because of herdsmen farmer clashes. So they now said the Livestock Transformation Initiative is supposed to set up, remember Ruga and all those ranch discussions, market-based ranches. But so that's agriculture, and that's also insecurity. So road, rail, aviation, investment forums, agric, all this is being impacted by this really, really bad insecurity. Look, oil thefts, vandalism. Apparently 29 billion or so. No,
NNPC said 18.88 billion?
It's dollars.
In 2021.
Exactly.
Do we have
So
$18.88 billion to lose?
we don't.
Okay.
You know, just everywhere you go and every turn, there is yet another impact of insecurity. And this has been going on for so long. You ask yourself, what is it that we lack the manpower? Is there, collusion? Why can't we solve this problem? I sound like a broken record. How long have you and I been on this show talking about insecurity and the impact
I
of
know
this?
sometimes it feels a bit like deja vu, but it worries me because I start to ask, and we've got messages, I will go to them in just a second. But I start to ask, at what point does Nigeria become a just unviable investment option?
It already is. I mean, it's only outside of Lagos, Abuja. Well, you break deals here. I mean, Port Harcourt, it's a number of states. You just look, Borno State, the Bureau of Statistics doesn't even go to Borno State to take stats for inflation and unemployment and so on. Nobody goes to Borno anymore. So you can, that's how bad things are, So
Wow.
it's, yeah.
All right, we've got your messages, and we've got a ton of messages coming in, actually. So Gilbert Musa from Festac says, according to a security, and this goes back to the first story, according to a security consultant on a news station last night, it is not enough to provide CCTV for train operations in Nigeria. We need infrastructure like constant electricity to power the equipment, and also we need another layer of protection to secure the CCTV cameras itself, which you'd already talked about. We need security for the security. Yeah, I know. And this message, Mobolaji from Magodo says, so Rotus, I'm concerned about the transport of food and other essentials from outside Kaduna into the states. If rail, road, aviation are all being impacted, what happens now? How does food get into the state?
Price goes up, so food inflation climbs. Yeah, that's
a good question. And Austin from Satellite says, Nigerians like to speak grammar while the whole country is on fire. Our airports, our railroads, and our roads are no longer safe. And he goes on to say they're heading somewhere and they are determined about it. Whilst Yinka Bolu says, even with CCTV and all gadgets, it still will not work. Why? Because of incompetence. Oh, strong words. Okay. In the beginning, the Abuja-Kaduna highway turned out to be unsafe, and they refused to critically face it squarely. Economics 101 says nearness to raw material determines the location of an industry. Even my 4-year-old knows it's only a matter of time before the miscreants change their attention to the rails because their target market have abandoned the highways.
Right.
Okay, that's
tough situation.
Can't believe it. We come to the end of the show. And just in time, it looks like make sure that you find Rotus up on. Okay, great. You're back. So we come to the end of the show. So Rotus, I'm sure everybody will catch you up on Twitter. He is at Rotanquote up on Twitter. And of course, we are at Smooth981 FM. Thank you, Rotus, for joining me for today's Business Express, and I shall see you tomorrow. All right, then, and that is that. Coming up is great music as we count down to 7:30 with Freshly Pressed.